Hello, everybody, and welcome to Readout Productions Artifact Highlight. Some people call this stuff junk. I like to call it artifacts, mostly to make me feel good when I buy it. In this video, we're going to be talking about an item from the First World War, and this will actually be the first two items I've ever purchased from the First World War time period to be in my collection. So I haven't owned any items from the Great War until now, and these are simply documents, so nothing grand like battlefield relics. And yes, I already opened it up, so you don't have to go through the torture of watching me open it up. You know, if you've seen my previous unboxing videos, you know I am dreadful at opening boxes, even though it's a flat piece of cardboard. I've got two documents in here. They were for sale on eBay. Now, the seller originally said that this also came with a third set of papers, and before I get ahead of myself, these are a series of draft-related papers to Joseph P. Fryman, who lived in Pittsburgh, lived around Pittsburgh, and became drafted in the First World War. I have here his draft, not his draft card, but his draft authentication card, and I also have his enrollment papers over here, or induction papers. My apologies. Now, the seller also said in the description of both of these items that they had his discharge papers listed. Unfortunately, I couldn't find them listed anywhere on their site, so I assume it's already been purchased. So let's see if we can get in here without destroying the plastic. I have to take the white gloves. I'm taking the gloves off. I'm going to war with plastic. Oh. Now, before we go into it, I want to give a bit of a history, the history of the U.S. draft for the First World War. The United States entered World War War in 1917. They would not really send any troops on the ground until 1918, and only for 1 year did the United States have a massive presence in Europe during the First World War. However, in that time, many troops were on the ground. Many, unfortunately, lost their lives. Now, you had to understand, before the draft was made, the United States only had about 100,000 men standing in their military at the time, and that was the number given in 1916, and then about another 100,000 in their local militia units for the National Guard. This led to the Selective Service Act of 1917 being created, and this was the first major draft in American history to forbid substitutes, and that's a key thing to note about. Before this, there had been drafts in other wars. Most famously, the United States tried to put a draft in during the American Civil War. The issue was they allowed you to pay somebody else to take your place in the draft, and that caused a huge uproar. That led to the New York draft riots of 1863, which unfortunately meant a couple of Union regiment units had to run from Gettysburg the whole way up to New York. That's a story for another day. Very interesting story to talk about. So U.S. drafts typically failed because of this rule. But in 1917, they pretty much forbade any substitutes. And beginning on June 5th, 1917, all men between the ages of 21 and 30 that were fit for service would have to sign for the draft. The following year, those now of 21 in age must register. And by September 12th, 1918, all men between the ages of 18 and 45 that were able-bodied had to sign into the Service Act. Now, Joseph Fryman was born in 1892, and at the time he was living at 6933 Bennett Street, EE City. I think EE City. That might be Allegheny City. Oh, East Liberty City, Pittsburgh. In the Pittsburgh region. I should know this stuff. I'm a Yinzer. He was born August 31st, 1892, and became enlisted April 28th, 1918. At the time of he being drafted, he would have been 25 years of age. I know he had a wife. I can't find any information if he was married at this point or he married later on. I know he is labeled as, I'm going to look on the back of the first draft card here, he is labeled as 1A, which pretty much meant he was fully fit for service, and either he was an unmarried registrant or he was married and had one, and his spouse was independent or had one or more children 16 years older, which I know that was not the case. I don't think their children were born until 1920. I know one of their children that I found on Find a Grave were born in 1922, so they were born after the war, I believe. Number order 45. Stamped January 23rd, 1918, so he registered for the draft in 1918. well, January 23rd, 1918. And eventually, torn. Did not know it was torn. Really torn. Did not realize how brittle the paper was. And this eventually is his induction papers. Order Ford 845, Serial 115. The President of the United States to Joseph P. Fryman. Having submitted yourself to a local board composed of your neighbors for the purpose of determining the place and time in which you can best serve the United States in the present emergency, you are hereby notified that you have now been selected for immediate military service. You will therefore report to the local board named below at Lincoln School at 2 p.m. on the 28th of April, 1918 for military duty. From and after that day, an hour just named, you will be a soldier in the military service of the United States. Signed, Dr. I'm going to assume that would be George W. McNeil, member of a local board for, and they just stamped it. The Legal Board of Division Number 9, City of Pennsylvania, State of Pennsylvania, 6428 Frankstown Avenue, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, signed for 2318. Now, I've not been able to find too much information on Fryman. Basically, all the information I'm going off of is on his grave. I found an image of his grave. He is buried in Calvary Cemetery in the vicinity of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm probably going to have an image of his grave right now. He lived until 1940, so he died just before, a year before the United States got involved in World War II, but interesting, and it is marked as a World War I grave. And that is where I find where he ended up, what unit he ended up serving with. He is attached to the 315th Field Artillery Regiment, which were part of the 80th Division, which were all based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, I can't find too much detail right now in my brief research on what the 315th did in particular. I know the 80th Division took part in the Meuse-Argonne offensive. I don't know how involved Fryman was. It does say on his grave that he was part of the medical department, so I don't know how much on the front lines he got involved with. But I'm pretty confident that he was in the vicinity of the Meuse-Argonne during the offensive. He eventually was released to service on June 12th. I keep getting it wrong. June 10th, 1918. My notes over here have it written backwards because some of the numbers wrong. So he was released from service June 10th, 1918. Returned home. I know he had several children. I at least found one on Find a Grave. I don't know if he had any more. And he died June 12th, 1940. So thank you guys for watching this video of Artifact Highlight. If you'd like to see more items like this, leave me a note down in the comments below. Typically, I do militaria. I also do railroad memorabilia. I do anything related to Western Pennsylvania industrial history. And of course, there's going to be some other random stuff I like collecting just for the sake of it looks cool. Just to give you a little update on what's going on with the channel right now, June 3rd, 2020 at noon, we will be releasing the next episode of Construction Paper Battlefield, my video documentary series where I do stop-motion battle maps of various battles in military history. June 3rd's episode will be documenting the Battle of Cold Harbor, Ulysses S. Grant's greatest oofing. That's one way of the word. So tune in at noon, June 3rd, 2020 to see the live stream of that going up on air. Also, I have been in works right now of clearing out the history room, reorganizing it. I've been getting new shelves. And once I feel I've got everything to my satisfaction, I believe I am going to do a history room update. Until then, you can head over to my good friend Humble Collector, who also does militaria and is way more knowledgeable on this time period than I am. And he also did a video of a room tour of my history room before I did the renovations, so be sure to check that out. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you in the next video.